Do you need to spend $500 on a cutter, or will a $15 Amazon special do the same job? 10 budget cigars, 10 identical cuts, and 2 tools at opposite ends of the price spectrum. On one side, a budget $12 double guillotine from Amazon. On the other, a luxury $400 ST DuPont, the kind of cutter you would find in a glass case at a luxury tobacconist. Both are fresh out of the box. Each blade is wiped clean, each mechanism checked for alignment. The test crew starts with the budget cutter. 3 units are sampled, each making 10 cuts on Robustos from the same batch, all preconditioned to 70% humidity. For each cut, the operator uses a marked jig to ensure the cap is removed at exactly 2.5 millimeters. The sliced heads are placed under a digital microscope at 200 times magnification. ImageJ software measures every rough edge and stray fiber, counting ragged ends per 10 millimeters of cut. The process repeats at 400 times for close inspection. Precision matters. The ST DuPont gets the same treatment, 1 unit, 10 cuts, same cigars, same protocol. Every slice is documented, every microscopic image logged. The raw numbers are tallied. The $12 guillotine averages just under 1 ragged fiber per 10 millimeters, while the ST DuPont single sample hovers around the same threshold. In this test, a consumer perfect cut is defined as 1 or fewer visible ragged fibers per 10 millimeters. A line both tools manage to cross. No verdict yet, just the data. The microscope does not care about price tags. A row of torch lighters, labeled A through D, waits on the test bench. Each one is filled with fresh butane and checked for full tank weight. The crew brings out a calibrated Kestrel anemometer and sets up an airflow rig to simulate outdoor wind at 10, 20, and 30 miles per hour. At every speed, each lighter faces 10 ignition attempts. No resets, no second chances. Lighter A sparks to life on its first try at 10 miles per hour, flame steady and blue. B and C follow suit, but D hesitates, needing 2 clicks before catching. At 20 miles per hour, the real challenge begins. The anemometer's readout holds steady at 20.1 miles per hour. Lighter B misses its first 2 tries, but recovers, while A and C keep firing up, only dropping 1 or 2 ignitions apiece. D struggles, failing 4 times out of 10. The crew logs every attempt, marking a tally sheet for each lighter and speed. At 30 miles per hour, the wind howls. Most budget lighters falter, but one holds its flame through 8 out of 10 tries. Another cannot stay lit at all, sputtering out as soon as the wind hits. The high-speed camera captures each ignition in slow motion, revealing which flames flicker and which hold steady against the blast. The final table of results shows a clear spread. Some lighters manage a 90% success rate at 20 miles per hour, while others drop below 60% by 30 miles per hour. No names, no brands, just raw numbers. The question hangs in the air: does price guarantee performance when the wind picks up? A $20 plastic humidor and a $200 wooden box sit side by side, each loaded with 10 cigars and a freshly calibrated digital hygrometer. Both start at 62% relative humidity, aiming for a steady 65%. Every day for a full month, the crew logs the readings, tracking the rise and fall of moisture inside each box. The plastic humidor, sealed tight with foam and latches, barely wavers. The mean humidity holds at 64.2%, with a standard deviation of just 1.1%. The wooden box, lined with Spanish cedar, shows more drift. Some days it climbs to 68%, others it dips to 61%. The average settles at 64.7%, but the swings are wider, with a standard deviation of 2.9%. The numbers tell a clear story. In the short term, the budget plastic box keeps cigars more stable than the luxury wood. No flavor debates, no talk of tradition, just the daily graph plotted in blue and red, showing which box holds the line. Next comes the travel case drop test. A single ABS plastic case, price tag just under $30, is packed with 5 Robustos and closed tight. The protocol is simple: 3 drops from 1.5 meters, first flat, then on a corner, then edge on. Each time the case bounces, latch is intact. After the final drop, cigars are removed and inspected for cracks or dents. Not a single wrapper is broken. The damage percentage is 0. The crew clips in a calibration check. The digital hygrometer still reads true. In terms of protection, the budget case does not just survive, it shrugs off the punishment. The evidence is in the numbers, not the branding. Marco Rivera, a master tobacconist with 18 years behind the counter, sits at a table lined with unmarked cigar heads. Each sample is labeled only by a code. No brand, no price, no hints. In front of him, a score sheet lists 3 simple criteria: cleanliness of the cut, ease of draw, and wrapper integrity. For each, he will assign a score from 1 to 10. Rivera picks up the first cigar, inspects the edge, and takes a slow, practiced draw. He jots down a number, then moves to the next. The process repeats, cut after cut, each one judged on the same terms, the expert's poker face giving nothing away. Half an hour later, the results are in. The signed score sheet reveals a surprise. The highest marks go to one of the budget cutters, a model retailing for $18, straight off a mass market website. Rivera's comments are direct. Blade alignment is perfect on this one. The cut is clean, no crushed wrapper, and the draw is effortless. He circles a 9 out of 10 for cleanliness and draw, matching or exceeding the luxury tool's best scores. The $400 ST DuPont, for all its polish and prestige, lands just a tick behind, dinged for a slight misalignment that left a single stray fiber on one sample. Rivera's verdict, underlined on the sheet, is simple. If you keep the blade sharp and aligned, price does not matter. I would use this budget cutter in my own lounge. The signed scores drive the point home. Lab numbers alone cannot tell the whole story. When a seasoned pro cannot tell the difference or even prefers the cheaper option, it calls every assumption about price and quality into question. In this showdown, the best cut in the room comes from a tool that costs less than a single cigar in a luxury lounge. Luxury cigar accessories often arrive in velvet-lined boxes, stamped with old world crests and price tags that can make your eyes water. But behind that polished surface, the story of how these tools reach the shelf is less about rare materials and more about what happens between the factory and your local shop. Most budget cutters, lighters, and humidors start life in the same industrial zones as their high-end cousins, places like Zhejiang or Taiwan, where grade 440 stainless steel is cut, honed, and assembled on the same lines for both budget and luxury brands. The difference is not in the steel itself, it is in the journey from the end of the assembly line to your pocket. A factory might invoice a double guillotine cutter for $40, shipping it out in bulk. But by the time it lands in a luxury retailer's case, that same tool can carry a $400 sticker. The markup ladder is steep: import fees, distributor cuts, elaborate packaging, and a heavy dose of brand prestige. Marketing alone can add 30% to the final price, with another 40% sometimes tacked on for the logo and limited edition runs. By the time you are holding it in a boutique, the cost has multiplied 10 times. Budget models, by contrast, skip most of that climb. They come direct from the source, sometimes even from the same molds and machines, but arrive in a plain cardboard sleeve. No gold trim, no certificate of authenticity, just the core function stripped of fanfare. That is why a $12 or an $18 cutter can perform on par with a $400 one in a blind test. The steel is the same 440 grade, the edge just as sharp, the action just as smooth, if not smoother, thanks to fewer moving parts and less decorative bulk. The debate over plastic versus Spanish cedar humidors follows a similar track. Purists argue for tradition, but when the numbers are logged, airtight plastic with a foam seal can hold steady humidity better than porous wood, at least in the short term. The practical difference comes down to what you value, the romance of handcrafted materials or the hard data on stability and protection. This transparency pulls back the curtain on cigar culture's price mystique. The evidence from these tests does not just challenge assumptions about performance, it makes you question whether you are paying for the ritual, the results, or just the story on the box. Right now, data keeps proving that price does not guarantee performance. As inflation squeezes every purchase, cigar fans face a new reality. Smart testing often beats brand loyalty. Choosing wisely means more money stays in your pocket. No ritual should cost more than it is truly worth. What is your take?